LeBron continues to enhance his GOAT status, as I'll say.
Yes, indeed. So obviously, LeBron has just reached 40,000 points. We have not gotten into this discussion yet on championship rings in our 6 month history of the show of who is the GOAT, whether it's LeBron, whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it is whoever. Obviously, I think when you talk about the GOAT debate, there's two sides of the argument. If you want to go rings, then I think you got to make the argument for Bill Russell, which obviously a lot of people don't have him as the GOAT, but a lot of people think that, he's obviously top 10 player of all time. So if you don't want to go rings, and there's obviously the LeBron MJ debate, for me, LeBron is my GOAT. And I've been saying it for the past 3, 4 years. And I think longevity, and this is where I think LeBron will have an edge over Michael, is, as you know, Josh, in our generation, we did not see Michael Jordan play. And so because of that, everybody in our generation really only knows one thing, right? 6 NBA finals, 6 MVPs. LeBron is going to have so many records. He may not have more championships than Michael. He's probably going to finish with 4 championships unless the Lakers go on a crazy run this year and he gets his fifth. But LeBron's going to have not only the all-time scoring record, not only is he going to have 40,000 points, but LeBron is going to have something where he is still basically putting up his career average in year 21, where guys like Vince Carter and Kevin Garnett were a shell of themselves. And I think LeBron, even at age 39 now, going on age 40, I think he's got 2 to 3 years left of dominant basketball. And I've been saying that over the last 5 years that he has 2 to 3 years left. And here we are still at that clips. I also do believe that LeBron, and many people may not believe this, that there's so many good players in the NBA now. I have contended, I think LeBron, even though he's not as good defensively as he once was in his prime in Miami, I think you can make an argument he's still a top 3, if not easily top 5 player in the sport. And I think from that measure, LeBron will have a greater impact on how we view him. Maybe not now, but later down the line, as like our kids and the next generation view LeBron, will be easier to view him rather than Michael.
It's kind of like when you talk about the GOAT discussion in the NFL of Brady versus Mahomes. Our generation, we got to watch Tom Brady. So it's a little bit different in that regard. I understand that. But like you and I, we got to see Tom Brady's prime, or a majority of his prime, I'll say. So, and now we're seeing what Patrick Mahomes is doing.
Right, we got to see both. In the LeBron MJ case, we did not get to see
Exactly.
both. Now, I do think, and I've been saying this, you've heard me say it for, a year now, basically. I do think we have the next face of the NBA, and I don't think it's Jokic. I don't think it's Giannis. I think it's going to be Victor Wembanyama. So it'll be interesting to me. And again, I'm not putting a ton of pressure on him as a rookie, but if Wemby can sort of reach that status, how he will compare with LeBron or Jokic or whoever the next guy could be.
Yes, I agree with you.
I guess my point is when you stack them up against LeBron, it's going to be very hard for them to beat LeBron, because I sincerely doubt those guys that we're talking about are going to be able to play, year 21 injury free. And players aren't moving as much as LeBron. I think one of the other things that helps LeBron, even though he did score 40,000 points, is the fact that he became the first player in NBA history when they won the bubble championship. And you could call it what you want. It was in the bubble, yes. But historically, LeBron became the first player in NBA history to win a championship with 3 different organizations.
And that's why I don't have him as the GOAT. That's exactly why.
That's interesting, because I actually think it helps LeBron's case.
See, I'm going to jump in here.
Go ahead.
I think that hurts his case, because when you think of Michael Jordan, you think of what team? the Chicago Bulls. I know he came back and played for the Washington Wizards later in his career, but essentially, Jordan played for one team, the Chicago Bulls.
And by the way, people that think Jordan is the GOAT, like you're saying, don't even think he ever played for the Wizards.
Right. I'm taking that into account, but I'm still saying essentially he only played for Chicago. You get my point there. Um, but when you think of LeBron, you can't definitively say one team because he was drafted by the Cavaliers in 2003, stayed in Cleveland until 2010, goes to Miami and has success there, from like 2011 to 2014, going to the finals every year, winning 2 championships, comes back to Cleveland, goes to the finals every year, wins in 2016, as we know. And then after that, he's been in LA. And yes, he's won a championship with Cleveland, with Miami, with the Lakers. I'll give him full credit for that. But to me, LeBron is a team hopper. Like, so to
Not well. I'll say this in LeBron's defense: LeBron was also a free agent. We're back in Michael's day. Free agency was a thing, but it wasn't as big as it is today. It was understood that stars play out their contract and then stay with their team that drafted them. LeBron's the one, you could say Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett really started it, but LeBron was the one that made free agency a big deal, obviously, with the decision when he went out with Jim Gray. But in LeBron's defense, he never asked out. He never, requested a trade. He never bitched and moaned, etc.
right,
LeBron
I
did.
get that.
LeBron did play out his contract at the very end, became an unrestricted free agent, and made a decision that every other player in the NBA has the rights to. It's not like a guy like Kevin Durant who forced his way out of Brooklyn to go to Phoenix when things went awry. And so I think that's a big difference.
Sure. And I agree with you there because for sure it is a big difference. And I'll give LeBron credit for this. When we made the run to the NBA Finals in 2007, LeBron was basically by himself. Like, we had.
See, I push back on that a little bit. I think, in retrospect, the Cavs were not as good as that Spurs team, obviously.
No
But
way.
Daniel Gibson was a very good player in that era. He would have fit in today's era.
I was a big Larry Hughes fan. I'll
Larry
admit.
Hughes was a decent player. Zydrunas Ilgauskas. I mean, these guys weren't stars, but they were a little. I actually think LeBron's best accomplishment, and I have said this, was the 2018 finals. When he got that team to the finals, if you remember, we were down 3-2 in that series against Boston. Kevin Love gets a concussion in game 6. That game 6 and game 7 were LeBron's best three players were him, J.R. Smith, and, Jeff Green. I think that those two games, regardless of what LeBron did, Miami 2012 game 6, which I think is right up there
You
with
mean 2013?
No, it was 2012 game 6, the year they first won the title when he took out Miami.
You're talking about Boston.
When he took out Boston, yeah. Outside of that game, I think LeBron's 3 greatest games ever played were those 2 games in 2018 and the following game 1 against Golden State when he put up 51 and then Kevin Love, or not Kevin Love, J.R. Smith forgot the score.
Yes. Well, he forgot how to tell time is more.
Well, yeah, and, so the point being here is that, Michael, he did stay in one place. He did have Scottie Pippen for all those 6 years he won the championships.
Yes.
I think LeBron, the fact that he's had Kyrie, he had Dwayne Wade, he has Anthony Davis, he had Kevin Love, the fact that he can win with all
Chris
these
Bosh.
different teammates. And the other thing, too, is, which I think LeBron has credit for, when he left Cleveland to go to Miami, Cavs were complete garbage with essentially the same roster the next year. When he left Miami to go to Cleveland, Miami had to essentially rebuild the roster, and they were not very good for a few years. When he leaves Cleveland to go to LA, Tyronn Lue gets fired after 6 games with basically the same roster. So I think the fact that with the same roster, you go from the finals to being in number one pick territory also helps LeBron's legacy.
Yes, I'll give you that. Um, just to go back to the NFL super quick, in terms of the loyalty and everything I was saying about, LeBron being a team hopper and all that, I'll admit this. I didn't say that Tom Brady was the GOAT until he left New England, went down to Tampa Bay, and led the Buccaneers to the Super Bowl
Yeah,
in
I
their
remember
own
that
state.
discussion we had when you thought Drew Brees was the GOAT.
Yes, I did. Um, and but the reason didn't I gave Brady the GOAT status when he went to Tampa is because of everything that happened in New England with the cheating scandals, Deflategate, Spygate, all this and that. I'm like, okay, Brady, go somewhere else, leave New England, and let's see if you can win a Super Bowl. And that's exactly what he did. Um, so I'm just trying to tie that back into the conversation.
Talked about LeBron earlier. You have posed this question, and I'm fascinated to see what you mean by this. Can the Lakers win a game when there's a big event happening?
Okay, so last year on my birthday, coincidentally, LeBron goes and breaks it was Kareem's scoring record, right?
Correct.
What happened? The Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Lakers. So LeBron didn't get to celebrate that in a win, okay? February 8th, the Denver Nuggets come to town to play the Lakers. It's Kobe Bryant's statue unveiling. So they unveil the statue. It's, mixed emotions because, well, we rest in peace, Kobe. I still can't fathom that he's not around anymore. I don't want to keep talking about.
Next point, please.
Yes. But the Lakers would end up losing that game. And then LeBron, reaches 40,000 career points. But he didn't get to celebrate in a win because, again, the Lakers lost. So when these big events are happening, can the Lakers actually win a freaking game?
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is why Josh Ungar is the coach of championship rings, because only Josh Ungar would come up with a topic like this, because I've never heard anybody take this angle from a sports conversation before. So, this is a very unique question. I think this is a question that nobody else will see on any debate show in sports. So please subscribe to Championship Rings right here on YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook or Twitter as well. Um, can I answer it like this? I don't really care. As long as you have a successful season, like if it's opening night you lose, you feel kind of sad. But you know what? Our ultimate goal is to win the NBA the Larry O'Brien Trophy. You lose a game when you score the scoring record. To me, it's all about LeBron. You're still going to be celebrated, the night anyway. The bigger story is the fact they had a 19-point lead on the Kings last night and blew it by the second quarter. I think that's a bigger issue for the Lakers. I mean, can they win a game? It depends on the matchup. I'll answer the question like you that way. But the bigger story will be, can they make some noise in the playoffs? And I think it depends on the team they play, like we've talked about a lot when it comes to the Western Conference. And by the way, I feel the same way about Golden State.
By the way, the Lakers have now lost 8 straight games against the Denver
And,
Nuggets.
and can I add this? Because you make a great point, but I'm going to add to it. They all lose the exact same way every single game. That way
Explain.
they go to the fourth quarter. It's a very close game. It looks like the Lakers are going to finally beat the Nuggets and take down their conqueror, which you can make an argument. This is a bigger rivalry than North Carolina and Duke, but I'm not going there. I'm just taking a little bitty shot. Anyway, we get there, and Nikola Jokic or Jamal Murray, depending on the night, just takes over and, just wipes the Lakers out of their misery in 5 minutes. And their defense takes over, and the Nuggets win by 10. And that's why the Nuggets are the best team in the NBA. And that's why, barring an injury, the Denver Nuggets will be your 2024 NBA champions.
By the way, let me just say this. I have no problem with the Nuggets winning back-to-back championships, other than the fact that it's Stan Kroenke that owns the Denver Nuggets. I do not like him.
What did he ever do to you?
Screwed over the city of St. Louis.
Well, okay then. That's matter of fact.
He did. So that's why I hate the Los Angeles Rams. Um,
The Rams have been so good for the NFL. You really think Sean McVay would work in St. Louis, Missouri?
I don't care. I hate the Rams because Stan Kroenke screwed over the city of St. Louis.
All St. Louis cares about is their baseball anyway.
um, but anyway, I know this is one of those questions that only I can come up with, but I just think it's
literally.
So what? But I just think it's funny that like LeBron breaks the scoring record last year. Lakers lose. Kobe statue unveiling. Lakers lose. LeBron hits 40,000 career points. Lakers lose. It's like, hey, Lakers, there's a celebratory event going on here. Can you go out and actually win the freaking game?
Well, Josh, look at us. We're so comfortable with each other. We're just taking shots at each other left and right tonight. Our chemistry must be getting better 6 months into the show.
It certainly seems like it. But you look at the Lakers, though. Do I think they would beat Oklahoma City in a series? Unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, yes.
Why unfortunately? What's with that first thought? You want to go into and elaborate on that?
I'd love to see Oklahoma City make a deep run in the playoffs.
That would be horrible. And no disrespect to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or Chet Holmgren. I talked about this last week when we talked about the MVP conversation, but they are not to the level yet where they are marketable in the NBA. Victor Wembanyama came in, and even though he only has 8 wins, he's become more of a star than those two big guys combined. So, in my opinion, I want stars. I don't care about this team's won 6 titles in a row, and this. I want stars playing in big games. I get my ass to a TV and I sit down and watch it because of the stars that are playing in the game. I don't want to see LeBron go home in the first round. I want to see LeBron. I want to see Steph. I want to see Giannis. I want to see Joel Embiid. I want to see Jokic. I want to see all those guys at the very end because stars make a better TV product.
I agree with you. And the reason I said fortunately is because I'm still bitter about the Seattle Supersonics. They should still be around.
Now that I can agree with you on.
Yes. I've heard rumors that maybe the NBA is going to expand soon.
Well, it's not rumors. It's going to happen. Once they get these TV media rights deals, there's going to be 2 more teams. We talked about it a little bit. Seattle and Vegas are likely going to be the 2 teams. I think they'd move probably Minnesota or maybe even Memphis to the east. I think one of those 2 teams would go. The other 2 teams would go to the west. I remember we had a brief conversation about it.
Yes. I would think probably if you bring in 2 to the west, I would think you would have to move 2 to the east.
Well, no, as I explained to you before, with 30 teams, there are 15 teams in each conference. So you put 32, that'd be 17 in the west, 15 in the east. You'd only have to move 1 to the west to balance it out, 16-16.
Okay. Yeah. So it would my guess is that it would be Memphis, actually.